Hi everyone. One of the aspects that are often ignored in training in the martial arts is learning how to learn. And unfortunately, a lot of people are not taught that, even at school. So by the time they get into a martial arts club, actually learning how to learn is something that they just don't have. And coaches often forget the most important aspect is teach the student how to learn, how to study. Now I use a system which I call ATARC, which I'll explain to you. I'll read it from my book first. The learning process. The learning process of the mind is a specific process. It's important to understand to be able to learn effectively. Shikon use a mnemonic acronym, and that's easy for me to say, as this is the best way to remember. If you refine this process, all learning will be easier. The acronym we use is ATARC. That's A-T-A-R-C. This is a specific order. One cannot be done effectively without the preparation of the other. First one, A, is for attitude. This is the most important. Unless this is in the correct state, everything else will be wrong. When you think about it, when you bow as you come into a dojo or kwun, the idea of clearing the mind, so for the coach or the instructor, it's the ability to be able to write on a clean piece of paper in your mind, rather than something that's been scribbled on. So to get that Zen mind, that beginner's mind. Attitude is emotional intelligence, putting nothing in the way of learning. If you think you can't, you can't. If you think you can, you can. Bowing as you enter the training area is the most important task. Clearing the mind of all its junk and preparing to learn without hindrance. T is for thought. Taking in the correct information. Then planning the movement. Planning and preparation mean that you know what you're about to do. And don't forget, a fair part of this then falls on the coach. The coach has got to be able to give it to the student in a format that they can actually take that information in. So you have to think before you move. It's no good starting to move and then thinking about what you're doing. It's too late. Okay, so the coach needs to prepare obviously the lesson plan, what they're going to teach, how they're going to teach it, how they put it across. They've got to look at the student and they've got to be able to give it to them in a way that they know their mind can take that in. So they've got the right kind of attitude, the right kind of thinking. They've planned the move before they move. A is for action. Action is the result of attitude and thought. In itself, it is pure and unhindered at the time. So as I say, all the planning and the thought and the structure go before the movement. The movement will happen of its own. R is for reflection. Looking back to see if it was right. Still applying attitude and thought. Were they physically enacted? Did you do what you meant to do? And then C is for correction. It's easy to make it worse. Correct attitude, thought, or action by changing the correct thing the correct way. If you, for instance, if you've stepped forward and you've stepped too wide, if you try and correct that by moving the other leg, the back leg, every time you step next time, you'll still step too wide and then move the back leg. So it's important to correct the limb that actually did the wrong movement. You need to program it into the brain the correct way. And always, all corrections still got to contain good attitude, good thought, good planning. If you get upset with yourself because you've done something wrong or whatever you do, that's going to get in the way. So still applying the same chain all the time. The chain is a powerful tool. If you understand its use, developed as a learning process, it empowers and corrects itself. Learning how to learn, putting nothing in the way, and understanding the process changes everything forever. So ATARC, attitude, fundamental, comes before absolutely anything else. Thought, and the thoughts are given by the coach to be able to structure in the mind. Then action. Action in itself is pure. If you've planned and you thought the right way, when you do the action, that's going to be the result of both the attitude and the thought. Reflection. Look back on what you've done. Dispassionately. So not angry, not upset, not anything. Just dispassionately. Did I do what I planned to do? Check it. And so many people just plough on and do another move and another move and another move, and they just keep doing it wrong. If the student can self-correct, think how much faster they learn. You know, if you're in a class of 20 people, you're lucky if you get corrected 1 in 20 times. But if you're given this learning tool and you understand it, you can self-correct. Each time you move, you check yourself. You understand how to do it, and you've got the knowledge, because the attitude and the thought, the planning was there. You've got the knowledge, so when you reflect and you know how to correct it the correct way rather than the wrong way, you can move forward. That way you're learning, well, if you've got 20 students, you're learning 20 times faster, because you would only get corrected after you've done it wrong for 20 times, and then it becomes more difficult. You know, some of the keys that I use, one of them is, if you want to do it right, don't do it wrong. So by using this process, you keep correcting it every single time. So you're not allowing yourself to do it wrong. And do it at a speed that you can do it correctly. Because most people rush, most people are in a hurry. Most people want a fitness style workout or whatever. But for technical training, you must work at a speed that you can do it correctly, and that you can go through this process to be able to correct what it is that you do. Learning how to learn. From the student's perspective, learning how to learn is very important. From the coach's perspective, you're going to produce better students faster. Thank you.